All right, we're going to get started. Welcome to week 4. This is the final week of this class. Can you guys believe that it's finals week already? It's kind of crazy how fast it goes. Hopefully you guys are in a good spot at this point. Going forward into week 4, I know a lot of you guys have been turning in some late work, which is fine. Just make sure you get that in before the mod is up, because we are going to be ending this Saturday at midnight, so I cannot accept any late work past that time. I am open and flexible with you, depending on your situation, to get in work, even if it's over 1 week past due, and that's excluding discussions, obviously. So just make sure you're getting that in as soon as possible. If, obviously if you submitted your work and you got my comments back, revisions, suggestions possibly, make sure that you're, making those revisions up as you go throughout the week so that you are adding to your project and evolving it, making it better as we go. Especially because your projects kind of evolve during the weeks. They connect from 1 week to the next, or you continue on with them. So the process is really, really important. All right, so as we go forward here into week 4, the learning objectives that you're going to walk away from this week are listed in week 4, as well as on this slide here. I'm going to read through this. Hypothesize on the future of UX in information design, incorporating, considering developing technologies and software. So we're going to discuss, in the discussion area, we're going to be doing that for this week. Develop a cohesive user experience interface, UX, UI, that support best practices of hierarchy and principles of design. Use a developed content strategy to design a user-friendly interactive experience. It's kind of what you guys are doing from the last week into this week. Create an interactive mock-up to present a user interface UI concept to a client. So really what we're going to be doing this week, besides the discussion, we are going to be continuing your project from week 3, and that's your 4 screens, your interactive screens from the kiosk that you chose the brand last week to go with. So we're taking that content strategy plan that you submitted in week 3, and we're going to put it into action. We're going to actually build the screens in assignment 4, and then assessment 4, which we'll be going over tomorrow. We'll break it up into two lectures, demos. We are going to take those screens and create buttons so they're interactive in InDesign. There's a few things that I wanted to point out to you guys that I'm going to change up a little bit in the project, because I think it'll be a little easier for you guys. Okay, so hopefully you guys are listening to this lecture. I will post an announcement about it too, and I'll show you what I'm talking about as we go forward into the demo. I just think that it makes more sense to go the route that I'm going to tell you guys to go. But I mean, it's completely up to you. If you want to go the way the instructions are going to tell you in week 4, that's fine. I'm not opposed to that. But I'm going to show you kind of an easier way that I think is a little bit more, is less bouncing around and easier to kind of guide your screens through in this week. And again, I'll kind of go through that in the demo. Okay, so I'm going to go right into your discussion here. Let me actually stop sharing my slide and go right into our Canvas classroom. And if you go to week 4, you'll see kind of the learning objectives that I just talked about here that we're going to be finishing up with this week. And then there's a nice little video here. It covers the definition of user experience. I'm going to click on this and show you here real quick.
What is user experience? User experience, abbreviated as UX, is how a person feels when interfacing with a system. This system could be a website, a mobile application, or desktop software. UX focuses on the structure, layout, navigation, and how users interact with them. Do you know that 68% of users leave a website because of poorly designed UX? And 85% of UX problems can be solved by testing with 5 users. 44% of online shoppers will tell friends about a bad experience online. 62% of customers base future purchases on past experience. User experience. Don't make me think.
That was kind of interesting. I like the whole the over voice being like a computer. Yeah, so when you're talking about UX and UI, you know, really important that it's accessible to the person using it. And that's kind of why we really have to think about this when you're doing your kiosk. Think about as if you were going up to the kiosk itself. You know, what would make it easier for you to follow through each screen? So kind of something to think about for sure. Course media, again, in week 4, if you scroll all the way down, just want to show you really quickly here. You do have some articles that are required to read here. The one is how the intelligent web will change our interactions. Kind of an interesting article. Is this the future of infographics? It's another one to take a look at. 7 tips for touch-friendly kiosk user interface design. That's a really good one to look at, since you guys are going to be doing that obviously for your project. Design principles, dominance, focal points, hierarchy, visual hierarchy, very important. I think that's one of the top issues that I see a lot with students and compositions. I think hierarchy can definitely be pushed to be better in a lot of ways. And that's just something you kind of learn as you go for the most part. So visual hierarchy, how well does your design communicate? And then the videos that you can definitely watch are very important. And this is basically for your final project for assessment 4, sorry. And it's talking about the interactive objects and understanding buttons in InDesign. Definitely check that out. It's very nice supplements to go along with the class. It really does help support a lot of what you're doing in your projects and your discussion as well. Okay, so let's take a look at your discussion. Don't forget, not only do we have a discussion for this week, for final week, final week, but you also have an integration career quiz, which is kind of the reflection of this class. So I just want to kind of remind you of that. Okay, so read through this background. I'm not going to read it word for word for you. Guys can definitely read this. I'm going to skip down to the prompt. Okay, so discuss how you imagine the future of information design. Research 2 developing technologies and hypothesize on how they will affect the future of information delivery, distribution, and consumption. In your post, share your findings and your thoughts on how these developments might affect your work as a designer. So this is where you put your, you could research the two developing technologies and pull them into your discussion as a reference. But in your post, share your findings and your thoughts on how these developments might affect your work as a designer. So that would be your reference, and then in your own words, post what you think, your perspective. So I see a lot of people regurgitating just the references and not really putting their 2 cents in. And when I say 2 cents, it's like in your own words. So when you post your discussion, I don't want to just see all of the reference material. I want to see you kind of commenting too throughout. In your comments, build on your classmates' ideas and see where they may lead. Maybe you will be involved in bringing in a new age of communication. For your citation, you might use articles that show examples of new media technology. You can also find articles from experts that suggest changes to current media distribution. So, you know, kind of poke holes in each other's theory, give each other different perspectives, and, you know, kind of gain as much as you can from this discussion. It's kind of interesting to think about ways of how developing technologies will affect the future of information. You know, where are we going to be at 5, 10, 15 years from now in regards to information design? You know, is it on its way out? How is it gonna evolve if it stays? Things like that. So definitely don't forget to write your own words in there. I really want to see you guys using your critical thinking skills, not just regurgitating the information that you find as a citation or as a reference. It's always good to have supportive copy to support your perspective, but just to always kind of paste in that information and not put your 2 cents in. That's really not reflecting on the prompt here, and it's not really what we're looking for. All right, so the future of information design, definitely start that as soon as possible. Actually, the initial post is due before midnight tonight, so Wednesday, for possible full credit, so get that in as soon as possible. And respond to 2 different peers on separate days before Saturday, before the Saturday. Here's the career integration quiz. So I'm going to skip on down here just to show you real quick. So just basically take this quiz. It's 15 points. It's not a high points quiz, but it's one that I think is a little easier to gain points for, so don't skip it. And just make sure that you're making substantial responses to specifically this course. Try to be as specific as possible. Don't be vague. And, you know, talk about your reflection on each of these questions. So don't forget to do that. All right. So let me actually skip over here. So make sure that you're getting that discussion in. Okay, let's skip forward here. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and start looking at your assignment 4, and then I'm gonna do a demo. I'm gonna do it a little differently than what the instructions say. And I think, you know, if you do it in the way that the instructions go, that's fine too. But I think the way that I'm gonna show you in my approach is a little easier just because we're not flipping back and forth in 3 different programs, okay? So what the instructions tell you to do is actually create the screens in Photoshop. So you should have originally created your screens in Illustrator from the last time that we talked for assignment 3. So what I'm trying to do is maybe eliminate the step from going to Illustrator to Photoshop and then into InDesign for assessment 4. So if you want to, you can stay in Illustrator and keep building and evolving your project. Just make sure that you're following the same kind of size guidelines. I believe this is like 8.5 by 5.5, the 602 pixels by 392 pixels. That's the ratio of the template that will be given to you guys to use. So that's kind of why we're going with that. So let's take a look at the actual assignment 4 in your Canvas classroom here, because there's a lot of other information that's not shown on this slide. All right. So I'm going to read through the background. The user experience should be forefront in the designer's mind. The principles of design, including CRAP, contrast, repetition, alignment, and proximity, are guidelines on how to accomplish a well-organized design. When applied to an interface, they will help the design be easy to use and understand. Hierarchy created by contrast, alignment, and proximity guides the user through the steps of the interface and lets them know where they are, how to navigate to where to go next, even how to return back to a previous place. So it's kind of like they call those breadcrumbs. Repetition, alignment, and proximity will identify sections and give the experience a cohesive, comfortable feel. How you use the allotted space, so the white space, also has a big impact on the experience. For example, a larger symbol or text would likely be noticed first, but something that is surrounded by a lot of empty space is also going to draw attention, even if it's smaller because it's more isolated. Tight and cluttered spaces become difficult to define and are overwhelming. Contrasting values and colors are needed to separate icons or text from a background, but a color palette still needs to be harmonious and consistent to keep the whole design cohesive. If the interface is part of a larger brand identity, it is important to keep the brand's color scheme to give a cohesive impression. Best practices and principles of design are important to observe no matter the medium or delivery of the project. They are the laws that, when considered and followed, help ensure that any design will communicate effectively and meet its intended purpose. So the prompt for this assignment 4, I'm going to read through. This week you will use your content strategy icons from week 3's assignment to design the final screens and then show them in a mocked up setting. The assignment instructions. Create the screens in Photoshop. Set up the document size to fit either the provided mockup, 602 pixels by 392 pixels, or if you want to use a different one, be sure to use the proper dimensions to fit that screen. Here's a tip. Use the artboard or layer comp feature in Photoshop to see the visual flow from screen to screen. Lay out each screen using your planned out text, colors, map, symbols, icons. Use the existing logo for the store and keep the look of the existing brand. Tip, import your logo, map, and symbol icons as smart objects so you can scale them as needed. Keep in mind the hierarchy of your elements to clearly guide the user through your interface. Save each screen as a separate file. Use the provided InDesign template, download here, and mock up the home screen on the kiosk. Optional, create your own layout composition in InDesign and use your own mock-up image, keeping in mind best practices for a clean and professional presentation. Combine the 4 screens and the mock-up and save as a multi-page PDF for your submission. You're going to name your file as such, so assignment 4, first and last name. Submit a multi-page PDF presentation of your screens and mocked-ups for grading. Upload the PDF to your Behance portfolio site and copy-paste the link to its comments. And you're going to email the link to your FPA and CC me. Okay. Don't forget, save your working files. That's your native files so that you're not losing that when you go back if you need to do revisions. All right. So here's the thing. If you guys want to do this in Photoshop, that's fine. If you want to go through that, and build your screens in Photoshop, that's fine. I'm going to go ahead and show you how to do that in Illustrator. It's the same concept, but you're not going to go from Illustrator to Photoshop to InDesign. You're going to go to Illustrator and then to InDesign. So it's kind of skipping that step of going to another program. But if you want to, you can. I'm just going to show it in another way. I'm not going to deduct you points. Obviously, that's what the instructions call for. So I'm not going to take away points if you decide not to. Let's go ahead and click on this template so you kind of know what you're looking at here. This is an InDesign template. Let me download this. Okay, so when you download that and you open it up in InDesign, this is what it looks like. So you'll have your, let me zoom in here. You'll have your title page. So interactive location kiosk. So you can delete that once you're getting ready to do this and just put the store logo and then present and put your name on there. You can, if you want to, you can even make this page, you know, a solid color with this white. It's completely up to you. The second page, there should be 5 pages, yep, is the kiosk. So you can place your mock-up in there. And then you'll be importing your JPEGs into here once you're done creating them either in Photoshop or Illustrator. And then description of the function of the screen. So that's screen 1, screen 2, screen 3, screen 4. Okay. So you're going to download that and you're going to save that. I'm going to save this on my desktop actually for right now. All right. So that's the template that you'll go with here. Hold on, let me share my screen again. All right, so it's up to you. If you want to go into Photoshop and you want to set it up, your mock-up is 602 by 396 pixels. You can do that. Let me see if that's the actual size that we're doing. Pixels here. Hold on one second. I'm going to convert this. So 602 by 392. 602 by 392. Because I told you guys to do 8.5 by 5.5. It's a good general defaulted size. Let me see if that's close to that. So to change this here, hold on. Yep, so about 8.3611 by 5.444. So it's very, very close to 8.5 by 5.5. So I would definitely do 8.5 by 5.5 for your project. That's kind of the conversion from the pixels to inches. Okay, so I'm going to open up my original document that we kind of left off when we last were here in the live lecture, and show you kind of where to go from there. Let me open up my file here. Hold on one second. Okay, so I'm going to go into Illustrator. You're going to see a similar, I was starting to work on more of my icons, so it might look a little different in that regards. Let me reset my layout here. There we go. But you guys remember I was starting to do my design roughs, sketches in Illustrator. So it's up to you. If you want to take these, this idea and go into Photoshop and then set this up as separate screens, you can do that in Photoshop, or you could just keep what you're doing in Illustrator, and that's kind of what I'm going to show you here. So that from Illustrator, you can import the JPEGs when you're done into your InDesign file for assignment or assessment 4. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and start working on each of these and show you kind of how I would approach this with revisions, because we kind of tightened some things up. I have my icons ready to go, so we can go forward from there. So make sure you have your icons are working together, they're unified, they're polished looking, and they're ready to go in your project here. Oops. Paste these over here. So what I would do is just go in here and start tightening up everything. You could even change up some of the design here. What I mean by that, maybe instead of square buttons. Maybe you do the round buttons if you're doing buttons. You might not be doing like an actual button. And then you'll kind of realize, okay, oops, you know, I need to start changing things out here to work with my button. Oops, we need to make this red. And start getting them in position here. Okay. I'm just going to do an alt drag for easy. Duplication. So we're just kind of making it work for my buttons so that they'll be able to be viewable. And then make sure that they're all pretty similar in size. You don't want one icon to look bigger than the other. So kind of have to kind of work with that here. Okay, I think this was the search one. So this is the magnifying glass, which I have to change now because my inside's white. Why is that white? Oops. Some things you kind of have to work with here. It's a little complicated, but we'll get there. Okay, so that's my other button. And then, of course, these will have to be changed. Let me just make sure these are aligned. If you shift select these, you can select them all and go up to Window Align. And you'll have these wonderful align buttons so you can make sure that they're all aligned on the top or vertically, I guess is what I want, horizontal distribute center. So they're like equal in between here. Oh, that looks, yeah, that looks good. And then I can go ahead and alt drag a copy of these down below once we know that they're aligned. Okay. So I'm starting to, you know, just kind of hone everything in. This one goes there, this one goes there, this one goes there. Whoops. I'm dragging everything without grouping it here. That's what happens. A lot of details in some of my icons. So that one goes there, that one goes there, and that one goes there. A lot of you guys needed to kind of polish up your icons, and I understand you guys are in the, you know, design stage of getting those polished, so I completely understand. I just kind of made notes of that to some of you guys. So if that was you, then I made a note to just kind of make sure you're making it look good and polished for this next round. This is kind of a pain in the butt, right? Doing a shift select, I'm trying to select all of my buttons here. Making them red. If I should make this red. Oops. And then this white. That looks good. Okay, and then group it. And then you can also do the align button for this too. Just group your item, your icon, and shift select the icon with your square, and then you can start to align it with your align button. Okay, make this a little smaller. Zooming in on your work, getting this all flipped out. It's good. Good to do. Is there two? Wait a sec, there's like a copy here. Hold on. Of one of these. It's really weird. Okay. It's really weird. Ungroup, ungroup. Jeez. All right. I think what I'm going to do. Is actually. Get rid of that. There we go. This, oops. How are we gonna get in there here? Honing in on everything. Oh, you know what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna go in and actually fix those. So I won't have issues with them anymore. I'm gonna take my direct selection tool and just grab those bottom anchor points and just drag them into, oops, into my circle here. There. Okay, so that's that. Let me group this again. I'll make this a little smaller. And then the GIF one. You may want to put words with these so that it's crystal clear on what it is that you're looking at. Some people might not know what these icons are, you know, symbolizing. They might get confused. They might know what they are, but they're confused on what it actually is for. So you might want to add some verbiage in there, just real quick. Supportive copy. Excuse me. And that's it here. All right, then look at your icons, see if any of them look too big, maybe not unified as much, and change what you need to do to change them. Make sure they're centered where they're at. Everything looks good. Downsize this just a little bit. I'm going to align them. Align them in here first, and then you can realign your actual boxes. Because the boxes might shift. All right. And then take your boxes and make sure they're aligned appropriately. We want everything to be perfect. This is paying attention to the details in design. It's very, very important. Okay, and then you could group, once we're done with this, group this and actually try to center it with your logo. Pull this down. I can ungroup. All right. So let me see. The last thing I told you to do is, yeah, just put in supportive copies. That's what I'm going to do. Let me grab something real quick. Okay. I know you can't see what I'm doing here. I'm opening up. It's taking forever. This PDF that I'm actually going to show you in a second here. Okay, so home screen. So you could do just the word home and use similar, type that would work well with Target. BBOS is a good one because it's very neutral, looks similar to Target. Or we do Helvetica. Oops, Helvetica. Bold condensed might work good. Give it white type. And maybe make it just a little smaller. Okay. That'll be home. Let's go ahead and just alt drag this over to this and make sure it's all aligned on the same baseline. Might need to move some things here, like this probably needs to go up a little bit. Just alt dragging this over. So for instance, this will probably have to get smaller. Maybe not that small. A little bigger. And again, we'll have to realign everything once we're done. Always shifting things, kind of making things better. Okay, so just kind of using supportive copy. Map. So that'd be like the map of the store. Oops. I'm using one word for each one of these two. Search. I have to make this a little smaller too. Contact. Hours. Do that, and then gifts. I don't know why it's doing that. so that, you know, you don't necessarily have to know what that icon means, but it kind of supports what it is, okay? Now, I'm going to group these and I'm going to center these a little bit better here. Oops. Go ahead and use your rulers. You can, you know, pull down your guides to make sure all of your, you know, everything's aligned appropriately. Looks like everything's lining up good there. So I'm just aligning everything. Group those before aligning, center align, group, and then a shift select. That's kind of what I'm doing for each of those. Kind of pull down another, whoops, another line here. Looks like everything's on the same baseline. The only thing I can see is these boxes aren't quite aligned. See how they're kind of a little off. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to group each box. Oops. Group, 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 group. And then I'm going to align the top first. Make sure they're all aligned. And then I'll align the bottom. I'm just aligning the tops of each one of those. That looks pretty good. Now I can see some alignment issues. If I zoom in, I can see that some of them are not quite on that line. So I need to ungroup and fix that. This looks pretty good. And everything looks pretty good here. Zooming in is great when you want to get those details. Perfect. There we go. All right, so my home screen is pretty much done here. My icons are in place. It all looks very, you know, unified. I have the supportive copy that goes with the icons. And these are ultimately buttons that you can come up to the kiosk and you'll see on the beginning of the screen. You can do other things too, like you can import pictures in here. I mean, you can keep it simple, but there's, you know, other things that you can do to kind of make this look less flat. But I think Target is pretty simple in regards to their brand as well. So I'm just probably going to keep it as simple as that as well. All right, I'm going to go forward and I'll do the other screens as well. I'm going to take a quick break here. And then I'll show you how to export them out. You can actually get rid of this page at this point. So I'm going to go to my artboards, get rid of the artboard 5. And then I'm going to save this as assignment 4. All right, so I'm going to go forward and design the other two screens. I'll show you kind of things to think about. The other three screens, I should say, should be a little easier as we go forward. And then I'll show you how to export. So we'll go from there. All right, I'll be back in 5 minutes. Okay, let's get back to what we were doing. So what you're going to do is you're just going to continue on with your pieces here. I'm going to show you some examples of past student work too, so that you can get an idea of what other people have done, so that you can, get some inspiration and all that good stuff. Okay. You can keep the map pretty general as I have here. You don't have to necessarily put pictures in here. So, that's completely up to you. The only thing I would say is keep the typeface, whatever you use on the home screen, keep that consistent all the way across. There we go. And I believe I used Helvetica for my Helvetica bold condensed. I don't know what I use for that. And then white. It could be smaller, but keep it consistent. But you can keep it very general like this. This is just to show you in general where these sections are in the store. So if somebody were to click on the map, it would go right into this next section, this next screen here. The one thing to keep in mind, if you're doing, you should have some type of this is called a crumb trail, like, breadcrumbs. You think of breadcrumbs, you can make your way back if you lay out the breadcrumbs going down around in like the woods. So you have a pathway to follow is kind of what that means. So that's the navigation is basically what that is. So when we click, say we click on map, we go to the next screen, we know we're on map because it is more bold up here as far as the font goes. So you'll want to make sure that you have that highlighted in some way. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger here. I'm going to change it so it's the right typeface. And then obviously we can start designing it so it looks good. So location map would be emphasized. You can even put an underline under it if you want. You can even make it bigger in the way that it's the actual typeface is bigger. I think we're going to do here is I'm going to put an underline under this so there's no confusion on that you're on this. Here we go. It's heavy condensed. Make it a little bit heavier and put an underline on it. We could even make it a different color, but because we're doing white and red, very basic colors, I would say either maybe you don't really want to do that. Let's either make it gray or keep it white. Why don't we do this? Why don't we make these much smaller? So 12 points, and this is 14. So you know that's where you are when you go to the screen. Okay. Another good thing to have is, these arrows. If you don't necessarily want to touch on the home screen or the search button, you can go back and forth using these arrows down below here. You can have the arrows up here if you want, or even on the side. If you're scrolling through, if you want to have it on this side, left and right arrows, it's up to you. That way, there's just another way to go back and forth through your screen. So I'm gonna make this a little bigger. It's not so small. I think this is pretty small. Yeah, it's 8. Let's do 12. Here's my character button here. Let's give it a little bit more leading. Some space in between. And we're gonna make this not so bold. Just gonna do condensed. Okay, so that screen is done. See, I told you it would be pretty easy. It's up to you on how you want to design this. I just kind of pulled this vertical line in here. I may want to make it more, I guess maybe have it tie in more with the buttons. I don't know, kind of play around with it and see what works. I'm going to bring this curved, rounded type of an element here to match the buttons that I have on the home screen. So I'm just kind of unifying it with these elements. Whatever you do here for the nav screen and for the bottom footer, you'll need to do over here as well. Okay. So let's just do, the only thing you'll have to change is, where you are on the screen and the emphasis of where you are on the screen, what screen you're on. So instead of location map being the emphasis, we're on the search screen. So this is 14 underline bold, 12. So this is the search screen. I'm making search larger in typeface and point size, bolder, and also an underline so that we know where we are on this page. I'm going to change this to Helvetica. Again, just make sure you're keeping it to consistent with your other typefaces. Okay, so everything looks pretty similar. If you were to click on the search button, we go to the search window. If you were to, once you click on the search itself, so if you were to click on this, which it probably should have some type of a button here. And we can actually tie this in with the target. Maybe. I can grab it. That's good. We can click on that and search for whatever they're looking for. And then the only thing I'm going to do is copy everything that I just did. Copy and drag it over. Alt drag. If you have your guides on, your smart guides, you'll see those intuitive magenta lines telling you, yeah, this is aligned once you get it set to a certain position, if it's aligned with the other elements. All right, I'm just going to leave this on the search option because we don't have, obviously it goes from the search to the search result. The only thing is I'll need to put in a candle image. I'm just going to go on to pixabay.com, get a free image of a candle for candles. I know you guys can't see what I'm doing. I'm just going to a candle image. So I'm trying to quickly find one just to place in there. Of course, when you try to look for something very quickly, that's when you can't find it. It's all these mood shots that I'm skipping past here. I just want a basic candle. Bigger, sorry, it's taking me forever. I'll find something here eventually. All right, I'm just going to pick this one just for, I'm not sitting here forever. Oops. What I wanted to do. Okay. We're going to place this in here. I'm actually going to, I'm going to crop this. I'm going to place that in there. Send it back. Get rid of those lines. Get rid of this middle section here. And when you're ready, say you're going to center these two shapes together. So let me zoom in and show you. I have the shape I want it to fit into. So the square with just a stroke. And then my picture is right here. And I want this to crop inside this square. So I'm going to place the image behind that square. And I'm going to do a shift, select the square with the image. Now I'm going to go up to Object in Illustrator and go to Clipping Mask Make. And that'll kind of crop it to my square. You can undo the clipping mask, just select the object, go up to Object, Clipping Mask, Release if it doesn't work out. But that's how you would do that. It's a little different than placing an image into InDesign than it is in Illustrator. So I just wanted to show you that. Okay. So we basically have all of our screens here. I'm going to delete the top parts, top text, because I don't want that to really go with my final. But everything looks good. Very simple, very basic. Now, as part of this project, and let me go back to the, geez, I have all these things open here. Go back to the project details. Whoops. Okay, so I did pretty much all of this. It says combine the 4 screens and mock up and save as a multiple page PDF for your submission. So let's go ahead and do that. And again, I'm not in Photoshop, I'm in Illustrator. Go File, or you could go just File, Save As, PDF. All needs to be checked. Click Save. Small is fine. You can do the smallest file size. Save PDF. And when you're done, let me open this up so you can see what it looks like. Yeah, open up your PDFs even though you think you're done. You might notice something while you're checking it. Here's what my PDF looks like. Here's the first screen, second screen, third screen, fourth screen. And you'll just submit this one PDF to the assignment 4 area. Okay, the next round of things that you need to do, set of instructions. Okay, you're going to name it as such, so that's good. Submit a multi-page PDF presentation of your screens and mock-ups for grading. Upload the PDF to your Behance portfolio site and copy and paste the link to its comments. Email the link to your FPA and CC your instructor. Now, the only thing that we haven't done yet was actually export your screens out as JPEGs to place into your mock-up, into your actual mock-ups. So when you go to your assessment 4, which we'll be talking about tomorrow, we will be showing you how to actually create the buttons to make your PDF interactive. Okay, so why don't we go ahead and export these out as JPEGs, and then that way you can import it into your template. And the template, again, is in your assignment 4. It's right here. And we're gonna, I'm gonna show you kind of how to place that in. Okay, so I'm gonna go back to Illustrator. And let's say everything looks great. Everything looks perfect, and we saved it as a PDF. We're gonna go up and say File, Export, Export As, and again, this is an Illustrator, JPEGs. We wanna click on Use Artboards and then All, and then save it to wherever you wanna save it to. Click Export. We're gonna do RGB, maximum's fine, click OK. RGB only because we're gonna be putting this online. Okay, so I'm just gonna share my desktop here real quick. Because I'm gonna show you my JPEGs I just made. So here's all my JPEGs. I'm going to open them up so you can see. Here's JPEG of my home screen, JPEG of my location map, search, and then search results. So now, do you remember that? Do you remember that template that's provided in assignment 4? You're going to open this up. This is in InDesign. So you're going to go into this. This is why I was kind of trying to cut out Photoshop, because you'll be in 3 programs if you do. You don't have to, but I was trying to make it easier. Okay, so this is where you'll be typing in interactive, Target, whatever your client is. Mine's Target, kiosk. You put the store logo here, and then your name here. You're going to save it as the assignment 4 InDesign file. And now I'm going to grab the logo here. If I can find it. Logo Target. Here we go. We're going to fit it in a frame. In InDesign. And you can center this out. I'll just pull this up so it's hitting the margins. I know it's centered, at least. Okay, that's perfectly centered. So we can kind of adjust this here. You know, keep it simple. That's fine. Oh, we got to keep the K out of there. I'm going to make this bigger. Maybe make it Helvetica. Match what you've been using for your actual project. Probably make this a little bit bigger. So it looks something like that. Okay. The next page, you're going to put the first home screen here. So I would select that object, do ungroup, get rid of this type, select this square, go ahead and find your JPEGs, your home screen, and you're going to paste it into this square. Now, the square doesn't look like it's the right size, so I'm just going to go object fitting, fill frame proportionately, and it should size it to the ratio of 8.5 by 11, or 8.5 by 5.5, just kind of in this ratio here. I'm going to put a little tiny 0.5 border on this so that you can kind of see an outside edge, and you'll see what I mean when I hit the preview button. If you don't, it's just going to be open white space, and it's kind of weird to see that. Okay, the next thing you can do is for the inside, or I'm sorry, for the text below, you can type here the description of the function of the screen. This is the welcome screen, the first screen you will see when you enter the kiosk. This is also the save screen. I'll make this Helvetica. Helvetica light. Do a centered, and I'm going to center it with this screen. Maybe. If I can grab the box here. There we go. Okay. So that is the first screen. Now you can take this screen and copy it. I just did a copy. Zoom in, so you place your mock-up here. Zoom in there. Take out, ungroup this. Take this copy out. Oops. I'm gonna go File, Place. Same screen, but we're gonna go Object Fitting, Fill Frame Proportionately. And there you go. Might not be the best angle here, but you kind of get the gist here. So that would be your first screen. Second one, same thing, ungroup. Command D is File, Place. And this would be your location map screen. Object Fitting, Fill Frame Proportionately. Give it a 0.5. Black edge if you have a white background. Description of the screen, we're gonna just copy this one down here, put it right here. Oops. What do you do with that screen? Why is this all weird? Okay, let's just do this. There we go. This one is your map. This is the store map to help customers find what they are looking for. It has every section of the store and the location of the kiosk on the store map. If you want to just copy everything that I just put in there, that's fine, because it's pretty general for the most part. When you're ready, we're gonna place it in here again, just ungroup. Get rid of the type, select just this red box, File, Place. Your map screen, Object Fitting, Fit Frame Proportionately. Some of this might be kind of hard to see here. Let's see if this fits in a little different if we content. Slide it over just a little bit. Yeah, this is getting a little too wide here. Let's see if I can adjust the vertical things. I'm just kind of pulling this in so it looks like it's setting in here a little differently. There we go. So we're just skewing it a little bit. It's just going to look a little different because of the skew. Okay. All right, third screen, ungroup. Rid of the copy here. Grab the third screen. Go frame proportionately. Give it a nice black border. Paste this so it's perfectly unified. For the search screen, I write the search screen feature lets the custom allows to find products. Type it in on the keyboard below. Okay. Last but not least, fourth screen is your search results screen. Five-stroke. This is the search feature with photographs showing the product. Okay. Simple and easy right there. Ungroup, get rid of the copy, file place after selecting. Select that same JPEG, object fitting, fit frame proportionately. That's pretty good. All right, so now you have an InDesign file, not just an Illustrator file that you have to save. And let's go back to your instructions here. So what you're going to do is you're going to combine the 4 screens that we just did in Illustrator and the mock-ups and save it as a multiple page PDF for your submission. So at this point, when you're done with the InDesign template, go ahead and save it out as a PDF. And do smallest file. So you should have 2 PDFs. I'll share my desktop. So you should have this one and this one. So you have the one with the screens, with only the flat screens. And then we should also have the one with the mock-up. Okay, so we're going to combine these 2. So open up your screens first, and I'll show you how to add in the other 4. So go to Tools, go to Combine Files, go to Add Files, And what you're going to do is you're going to add that PDF of your kiosk and hit combine. Oh, for some reason it didn't combine. Let's try that again. Oh, okay. We have to add both of those PDFs here. I'm sorry. So both the screen PDF, and I'm just going to slide it in here, and the other PDF. Just drag and drop them in there. So the two PDFs, and then combine. Sorry to confuse you. It's kind of a weird way of doing it. So that you should have 9 total pages, 1 of 9. So here's the screens, and then here's the actual presentation. Okay, go ahead and name this. I would put like final assignment. I think you have a couple named that, but this is for a PDF. Okay, so this is the final PDF that you'll be submitting with the 9 pages. And then, go back to your instructions. So much to do. So you're going to name it as such. I think I put final in there, but that's fine. Submit a multiple page PDF presentations of your screen mock-ups for grading. Upload the PDF to your Behance portfolio site and copy and paste the link to it in the comments. Email the link to your advisor and then CC me. So that means, and let me get this. Let me go get my linked, or I'm sorry, my Behance up. It's saying to upload your PDF. So I would just go create a project. So I'm in Behance. Upload files. I would choose that final file that you just created. Open. I thought so. I thought you weren't able to open PDF. So what we're going to do is we're going to actually upload the JPEGs. But we're going to do, we're not going to do this actual screen JPEGs. We're going to go back to your, this is going to be a little confusing. The instructions actually are a little wrong on this. So trying to help you out here. So what we're going to do is we're going to save the InDesign, just the kiosk presentation as JPEGs. So go back to your InDesign, hit export, file export, choose JPEG, and save. And we're going to do all pages, maximum, RGB, that's good, all pages, export. So just these 5 pages is what you need to add to Behance. But you need to export them as a JPEG, not as a PDF, as said in the instructions. Okay, so go back, once you're done, go back to Behance. You can even throw those JPEGs in a folder called Behance. Upload files, and they should show up here. Here we go. There's 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm just going to do a shift select. Oh, and there should be this one here. There. So it should look like this. Hit save. Oh, I spelled interactive wrong. Oops. Continue. You can do the project title. You can do the school or the class name, information design, interactive target kiosk, UX, UI. Graph and continue. Graphic design. And you can do information design if it has it in here. Let's see. Information architecture. What about UX? Here, do that. We select it. Tools used. And you can add that too. I'm just going to click save. And then when you're done, publish. And then this is the link that you're going to copy and paste into your email to your advisor and CC me on. So that when I go to your Behance page, that link, I'll be able to click on, it'll open it up, and I'll be able to see your individual pages here. You don't have to show your flat screen, just your presentation for this. Let me know if you have any questions. I know I kind of went over a lot of information. You know, if you're confused in any way, let me know. But I think watching the lecture, you know, over again might help too. But hopefully you guys will be in a good spot after seeing the lecture. Hopefully you'll kind of flow through it and everything will be fine. Tomorrow we're going to meet up and we're going to discuss assessment 4, which is creating buttons for your interactive buttons for your screens in InDesign. So if you have any questions, want to show anything, that's a good time to do it. We can go over anything you want me to go over and go from there. I will also be showing some student examples. I'll do that tomorrow so you guys can see what other students have done, and we'll kind of wrap things up. So, all right, guys, thanks for listening. And like I said, I'm here for you guys. I want you guys to all succeed, so don't feel like you're bothering me. If you have questions, you need help, I'll try to get back to you as soon as I can. But hopefully this kind of clarified a lot. I'm going to post 2 announcements that we wrapped up the first lecture for week 4, and just kind of be aware of some of the changes in the instructions if you want to kind of do it the way that I did it in Illustrator instead of going into Photoshop. All right, guys, have a wonderful day, and I'll be hopefully seeing you guys tomorrow this same time for our final lecture.